What's up, Amanshaya? All that good stuff. My day's going pretty good. Hopefully yours is. You can always leave a comment on that if you wish. There's easier ways to deal with your conflict. No matter if it is a personal issue or a business one. Much easier to deal with things in a civilized manner. But some, for whatever reason, do not know how to deal with in a civil matter. Can be a point of perception. Maybe you think the one does not see it through your perception, or the understanding of what it is within that understanding. But there's better ways to deal with such things. Even amongst trying to enter your field. Better ways to deal with such things when it seems to be difficult as it is you choose to try to do those things. I should be able to use that, but for some reason oh, not enough space. Okay, I'm gonna have to get rid of that. A few things. Do you have to do that as well? Things possibly maybe stopping you? Easier ways to deal with it, if you know what it is that's stopping you. Not always easy to deal with it, though, if you do not know upon what direction to go. But how could you know if it is you do not explore these easier things to do stuff? Do you ever take the time to explore? No matter what it might be, do you wish to have more? Or an opportunity to? That result, it is up to you. But why would that be something you would not choose? Well, there's easier ways to do it. Why not put the effort in and choose to do it? Now, it may not be easy to actually do, but the result is easier upon you. For some, they may not get what it is I just said. Just because the action is hard does not mean it's not easier. The easiest path is full of the hardest choices. So, are you willing to make those hard choices? To make it easier upon yourself? Have an easier life that you wish for yourself. The choices that you must make, and actions, they are not easy. But there is easier ways to make them easy. By making the conscious decision, first of all, not for that kind of thing. Taking the easiest route. As far as what it is you must do, you must compare to what it is that could equal at the end for you. Would it be that you would suffer more? Would it be you would get less? Would it be that your dreams do not become what it is you wish to have? Easier way. If it is you wish to have a cup that lasts. If that makes any sense to you. But there's easier ways to deal with it, though. Make the decision before it even comes up to you of what it is that you will do regardless. To review upon your day what it is that you maybe felt or other things, or what it is you might have learned. Then compare to what it is that you need to learn. Are you going upon the right direction? There are wise things when it is you choose to do a little bit of reflection. Makes it easier to make the choices that are the hardest. That's the point, to be able to make the choices that are the hardest. That in the end, they take you the farthest. But how is it that you might not be noticing such things? Do you not keep awareness of what it is that goes on around you? Maybe certain people or other things associating around you? Maybe things as far as situation or other people's situation that you are involved in some way or another. Same situation, just another. But it keeps coming up. Do you think that for some reason that just keeps coming up? Maybe it's just a coincidence. As for me, I do not believe in that. I only believe in providence. But that is personal view. Maybe that's something that can help you too. To learn what it is as far as these things that are happening around you. Why might it be that it's being shown or going on around you? You ever thought to ask those questions? Doesn't always matter if you ask the questions, but if you can notice opportunities that might be hiding, such as things like this, more than likely you will notice. For it shows you are aware of what it is that happens around you. Regardless of what it is that's happening around you. Regardless if it is that you happen to like it, or if it is that you do not. Easier ways to make your life more prosperous, more likely to prosper. To notice things that others that do not prosper, or their dreams that they wish to prosper. How many things go on around them that they do not notice? And yet they question, why are opportunities not there that I notice? If you are looking for something, you will find it. If you are not, then you will be blind of it at that spot. You cannot find an opportunity if it is you're not looking. Easier ways to pay attention to what it is, for what it is you are looking. What about the way that maybe you feel? Maybe is your emotions stopping you from what it is you could get amongst that deal? There may be something that you let the emotion overtake you. Lose an opportunity because it overtook you. Do you pay attention? Do you not? Your perception and what you see and comprehend affects a lot. Did maybe your anger get the better of you? Maybe you wanted someone to see your view, but they would not heed or listen to you. Are these things that would make it harder? There's easier ways to deal with this, not to make it harder. Is you find one that will not listen. Good time to hold, for you know at that point they will not listen. What is it that you wish to have? The ability to notice when maybe they were listening, but you were too blind to notice. There's easier ways to tell than letting your emotions get the best of you so you cannot tell. Have a bit of self-control. Feel that urge? Just tell it no. Say it out loud if you must. Even counting to 10. Do you know why they tell you to do that? There's some psychology behind that. Because it is hard for you to think and talk at the same time. Did you know that? How many people can be thinking of a situation and be moving their lips at the same time? And it puts you in a different state. Or you can list 3 things that you can and cannot control upon that day. Start to have a panic attack? Easy thing to do if it is you choose to do that. Easier ways to deal with such things than freaking out. What happens if that thought, you force it out? Easier ways to deal with things? At first, things you must notice. But how could it be that you could grow from that if it is? You're too busy to listen. Give you an interesting fact. You cannot learn anything without watching or listening. Did you know that? Either paying attention to what it is that you are doing, comparing it to what another has done, or listening upon how it is that it is to be done. So, when ones will not listen, they are not ones that are willing to learn, for they already think they have nothing left to learn. Easier ways for you to learn than argue or fight. How is that you can learn? To have self-control, that is a rarity. Easier ways to have it, to where it is not a rarity. There might be a few that look at you funny if it is you were to do this. But you can use the concept with the name 3 things. But name 3 reasons why you would not. Or why it is not worth it. You do not have to do it out loud. Or, if it is that you're having an argument, name 3 things that you were able to notice about what it is the other person was saying. Not only does that prove that you were listening, but it stops you from doing something. Easier ways to deal with such things as this. What else are reasons why it is you might have issues? Maybe it is that you have not learned enough. From what your knowledge is as far as what you know about that. If it's a subject you do not wish to get involved with, you can easily say you do not wish to be involved in. You can pick and choose, just as everyone else does. But what about the situation you might be facing do you not know? Name 3 things that you do know. Then name 3 things that you do not know. All of a sudden, you have 3 answers. Within that subject, you know you need to grow. Is there a way to deal with things that you do not know? What about 3 things that you know about that individual and 3 things you do not? Might be able to get to know that individual a bit more upon that spot. Is there ways to deal with other things? Maybe 3 things, or you can go with less or more. Maybe 3 things that you wish to learn. Maybe more than 2, maybe more than 3, maybe 1. But it has to be at least just 1. Can you think of what it is that you might need to look up to find out that answer? Is there ways to find out what it is that you seek within your answer? If it is, you never ask questions. You never have a chance to learn, for you do not seek the answers. Easier ways to deal with ones that think less of you. You could name certain things that would make them think more of you, not less. You could even go farther than this and name 3 things, or more, or less. Maybe 10 if you had to. The number, well, that's up to you, and it's easier if you don't have to guess. But you could always name a few things of why it is they might think that way, that they may not know is why they think that way. Easier ways to deal with people not understanding you. Explain why it is maybe they do not understand you. Easier ways to communicate what it is that you try to convey. No matter if it is something you do or that you say. Maybe if it is that you pay attention to what one would say about that you act to them. Maybe that you can change that. If it is that you feel that you need to change that. Of course, some, they want to ensure that not very many associate with them. So they have a shield to wear, only few that get past can associate with them. You see where this might be going? As far as certain things, maybe you might need to start knowing. Any other that you can think for yourself? That is yet maybe another. Do you take the time to think? Logically, as it is that you choose to think. Do you think critically? Do you take the evidence that you happen to see? Make assumptions upon what it is you might, from that information, see. Easier ways to get results you wish to get. If it is, you take the information you already have to understand what it is that after that, unless change has occurred, will be the effect that you already know, and the proof of that will be heard or seen compared to what it is that before that you have already seen. Do you pay attention to maybe patterns? Certain things do happen in patterns. If you pick up on that, there's many applications that can be used when it is you learn and know that. Paying attention to such things, does this make other things easier? For you already know such things. Or you can anticipate if it is that everything happens in the same way in that place. No matter what it is you face. Remember how I said earlier, in about this exact location, a while back, things going around you or going on around you? Do you notice that? Easier ways to notice what's going on around you and make decisions according to what it is that is going on around you. Easier ways to deal with your emotion as well. How much does it do you to get overwhelmed or overreact? Is it fair to yourself or anyone else when you do that? What is it that you learn when it is you do that? Easier ways. There are easier ways. Anticipating what it is that might happen tomorrow. How could you do that? If you do not know what has happened today, how can you know tomorrow? How could you make the proper decision if you do not have the proper information to make the first decision? Or even after that? Must be aware of what's going on to do such things as that. Do you not review your day from the start or the end? Did you learn anything today, or was it an unproductive end? Did you try to better yourself in some way? Did you find something or look for something to encourage you upon this day? Or did you just look for something to entertain you? Lack of knowledge. Does that entertain you? To look for something that might make you feel better tomorrow by the lesson that you could have learned if you picked the right thing. With that made you feel better. Tomorrow, is it capable from seeing that will make you feel better? Or does it leave you in the same place? Much easier ways to do things in this place. Did it make you only feel better for a moment? Was it as if it was a fleeting moment? Or what if it is that you take the information that you would need and make it to where constantly, every day, these things that make you happy you can see? Compared to something that you happen to see, that you cannot learn anything from. Was there anything that you could have done to become better to where you wouldn't have to pay attention to things like that? To feel better than what it is that you felt when you happened to have watched that? There are easier ways to feel like that. But yet it is the hardest decision for the best path. It is the hardest decision. Easier ways to conquer your day. If it were that you knew what it was you needed to conquer that and possibly the next day. No matter what it was, to ask questions, to try to find the answer. Sometimes there are multiple answers. Just depends upon if it is that you look for them, or you just look for something that will make you forget about them. To look for entertainment is different than looking for knowledge. From entertainment, very rarely do you actually get any knowledge. There are some that there is nuggets of information there, but of course first, you must be able to notice that it is there. A ploy by coy and sly. Show you exactly what you need right in front of your eyes. But because you never choose to actually open them, they mock you for it is that you never choose to open them. Right in front of you. Showing information that is important to you. But the question is, do you notice? Do you know upon what it is that goes around you? Or do you fail to notice? Easier ways to do that. Of course, anyone that's done any research would already know that. Only certain ones even notice. Funny thing is, once you start looking for it, it's easy to find. No matter if the coy and sly try to hide. In plain view, directly to where you can see no missed information by you. But easier ways to interpret such things. Easier ways to deal with such things. If it is that you are not learning, how can information hidden in front of you help you to be learning? You must first know upon the fact that it is there. Must pay attention to what it is that's around you, for it's right there. Not always is it that way. Sometimes the information was not for you, though, upon that day. It was for another that has already seen it, before it was that you had an opportunity to even have a chance to see it. Or hear it. For they knew what each other were saying as soon as they seen or happened to hear it. So you might understand what it is that I mean. You wish to have a little bit of an example of that? You ever see the railroad cars that have all the drawing and all that stuff on them? Do you know what they're doing when they're doing that? That is all that needs to be said about that. How could that be any different? They are just communicating just slightly different. For ones that need to know the information. The only question is, are you knowledgeable and need the information? Or are you ones that are not? What you know and status sometimes determines that. Easier ways to change that. Easier ways to deal with it as well. Now, what is it that you do not know that you need to know? Do you know what it is that you need to grow? And whatever it is that you wish to know? Ever taken the time to find that out? There is no easy way to find that out. But it does kind of apply to one thing that I said earlier. The hardest path leads, or the easiest path has the hardest decisions. Not always might you at first understand these decisions. But the more that you happen to know about what it is that you know that you want or need to know, the more of an opportunity can you show that you are more than what it is that might normally meet the eye. For one, not. For theirs, it is not trained. But it is up to you if it has been trained. To pay attention to what it is that you need and all of that. Or what it is maybe you need to hear, or maybe something you do not. There are easier ways to get the knowledge that you wish in this spot. To know or to know not. These are decisions that you make. Every day, regardless if you realize you do or not. What is it that you stand for? Do you wish to learn more? Do you not? There are easier ways to find out the information that you wish to. Easier ways to learn what it is that you wish to. But the decision of that must be made by you. No one else can learn it for you. No one else can inform you. They can give you a gist upon what it is. But you are the only one that can learn such things, no matter what it is. You can learn from the experience of another, but it is only a fraction of what it is because you did not experience. You learned from another. There are easier ways than rely on someone that you do not know if they are actually friendly, that someone. Not everyone that knows information that is valuable is willing to give it away, for it is valuable. Easier ways to achieve the information that you might wish. You're the one that has to search for this. Easier ways to deal with your emotion too when you experience to be overtaken by an emotion that does not always lead to a good experience. To do so in a bad manner. To also know or show information in a bad manner. Is that always the straightest and best way to show your banner? But to learn to do it properly, emotions must be controlled to do it properly. For some information may anger or infuriate, while others may make you hesitate. Also, to never give the chance for someone to explain to you something that you may not know before. At that point, you say no. And at that point, the only thing that you have left to do is to start throwing fists. Is that the right thing to do? Well, it looks like I need to take an intermission and be a great time for you to do so as well. If you have any comments or questions you'd like to ask, all that, be a great time to do that as well. We'll answer them if there are any. If you like the motivational poetry thing I do, you can look up Gaming with Knack, Inspirations of a Gamer. Sometimes to resolve things, you cannot use your fist to resolve those such things. Not at times, with dialect, you can do such things as that. Not always, but it is possible. If it is, that one's comprehension makes it possible. If it is that it does not, well, very little things you can do upon that spot. Of course, many times they pay attention too much to the outside noise. Things that they shouldn't be. To see and understand how it is for you, it happens to be. If they're a friend, these are things they're willing to see. If they're not, well, that's easily found out what they are upon that spot. Some have higher comprehension than others, while others, they just do not. Some use violence, while others do not. Unless it is required upon that spot. But how it is you communicate matters. And how it is another takes it, that also matters. Some take it well, some do not. Some get basic concepts, while others, they just cannot. Better to resolve an issue if it is that you can, in a way that there is no fist or lifting your hand. That is, if it is possible. For certain things, this is not possible. But it is a wiser decision to try to do so. For to raise your fist, someone else will do so. And that just compiles upon itself until it becomes far worse than it would have been. But sometimes that is how it must end. Sad to say, but sometimes you have to teach a person a lesson upon that day. Of course, you can do that by what it is that you say, or by what it is beneath and between the lines you say. Many ways to solve a problem. It's usually better if you try to talk about your problem first, than raising your fist. You do not get the chance of being heard for what it is, if it is you choose not to do this. But not always do ones understand such things. Even if you can explain or prove such things. At that point, you might as well speak to a wall. Or at that point, you would get more response from that wall. Not worth the waste of your breath. For not all are ones that use such things as dialect. Or nor they can understand it. Of course, they probably have not used their brain fully so they can understand it. It takes much more brain power to use your words than it does to use your fist instead of your words. But for ones they might understand later. But for the moment, they choose to use their fist. And because of this, you must be and pay attention. For ones that actually would use their dialect, they pay a little more attention. Not only that, it's bad for your career as well. Or anything you wish to be successful that involves another why it is you dwell. By choosing to use your fist, you show a lack of control because you choose to use your fist. Even if it is, in truth, they deserve it. But by using your dialect, you give them a chance, so they can have to where it is not what they deserve. It is above what it is that currently they deserve. Giving a chance. Using your mouth instead of your fist. Many things can be learned if you choose to do this. I do not see which one there he is. But by doing this, you also prove something else. You are smarter. Maybe you're not physically the strongest. Maybe you are, but you choose not to show upon the fact that you are the strongest. But as an individual, you show the fact that you are, as that individual. It also shows you have hope for different things than what it is that they happen to be. Regardless upon what it is another sees. But what does violence breed? It only breeds more. But what does using your words breed? The strength of your mind. Your comprehension. Control. Because you have farther comprehension. But of course, it also breeds more violence. If it is, they misinterpret it and do not comprehend what it is they hear with it. Or they feel that they are offended. Because it proves for what it is they are offended. Strikes a nerve to the fact that what it is that was conveyed is true. Or it is what it is that in truth you think about you. Most people, if it is they hear something, they get offended. If it is, they feel they're being accused. But what happens if the one conveying it, in truth, is not accusing you? That's why some get offended by what another says. Because they think that they're talking down upon them. But here's the thing. What if that is not directly said? But within their mind, they think it is said. Is it that they feel guilty for something? Or is it that they're misinterpreting something? That is about the only real issue with using your dialect. So many cannot comprehend certain things amongst dialect, and they think that you might be saying something that in truth, no matter between the lines or anywhere else within those lines, you are not saying such things. They are hearing it for what they think, and defensive they get. But it is still smarter to use dialect. For understanding more brain power of using what it is that you are capable of. Gets, if it is, to comprehend the dialect that you hear, you must exercise this to do that. Does not take any exercise at all to use your fists, but it does to use this. Oh, well, I'm back, all that good stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed the intermission and all that good stuff. So easier ways to do multiple things. Have you ever thought of these easier ways to do these multiple things? Or is it something that, with these kinds of things, you have not thought of such things? There's always an easier way, though the choice to go that way may be harder than it is for the path that is harder. Or do you wish to work smarter? Or is it that you wish to work harder? To think about what it is you might do first, instead of doing it in a sudden burst. Can always weigh out upon what it is you might do, and the result that could possibly be for you. But not always the easiest thing to do, as far as the actual actions that must be performed by you. It's an easier path, though, by taking information that you need to know, or things that you may not. Being able to determine that. There's always an easier way to get to where it is you wish to be upon the next day. The sooner you start to realize that, the more you can get from that. So how is it that you could change those particular things? By being aware of whatever it may be. It does not mean that necessarily at first you fully see. or comprehend upon what it is that might be. But questions always give answers. If it is, you ask the questions and search for the answers. There are certain things that you don't necessarily need to know. That, as well, you must know. Only the ones that actually impact you are things that you need to know. Ones that do not. Down that rabbit hole you do not go. If it is that you choose to, much time is wasted by choosing to. But if it is something that does affect you, why would it be something that you do not wish to know? An easier way for these things, for you to know. But without asking the question, you may never know. So, what questions do you have about your own life? About what it is that you may have seen within that life or strife? An easier way to look within what it is that could be, if you already know upon what it is that already happens to be. Upon those things you notice patterns. Very important if it is that you can notice patterns. For it means if this happens to show, and means within a certain, another similar will show. Or it is time that a switch has occurred. Currently, can you tell the switch that has currently occurred? What is about to happen towards the end of the year? What are they speaking about far before the end of the year? Who is the one they happen to speak the most about? Criticize everything and about. But my question with this, what of the other side? Have you heard of anything about this? Does that not make you wonder? Now, previously, does this line up with something that happened previously? Patterns. They do not have to happen exactly at the time right after. Or something else that be happening amongst and what it is. Is there anything else that has either come or gone away? Is there anything new to take its place? Or have you noticed anything? Is it due or is it over? Now, the question is, though, according to past information, what will happen next? According to past information. If it is that you have gathered it, you pretty much probably already know the answer because you have taken the time to gather it. Is this something that can be applied to your life as well? Easier ways to know what might happen upon the next day. But first, you must know what happened the previous day. Or why it might have happened that way. Is there anything else that has been brought to your attention? So much so that that is almost the only thing brought to your attention. May I ask why would they do such a thing as that? Do they wish to try to distract? Or do they actually wish to inform you about that? Are they sending each other messages? Right in front of you, reading and seeing when it is that you are not. Is it something positive or is it not? Are there ones that get ridicule? Are there ones that do not? Do an average person notice such things in this spot? An easier way to know. But the question is, are they letting others know when it is that you do not? Are they giving you a message that you are not able to understand in this spot? They could be. If it was that knowledge is what you seek and what you wish to see, easier ways to go on amongst your life. To know what might be affecting and influencing your life. Harder path, but an easier. The decision is the hardest. What happens and the result is the part that is easier. So, in truth, easier ways to do it, but it's the hardest path in order for you to do it. That is the full title, just in case you are wondering what the second half of the title. So what is the easiest path you wish to have? Amongst your aspirations, that success you wish to have? Are there maybe things that stand in your way, or maybe certain things that maybe you do not wish to do, but is required for you to be successful in what it is you do? For myself, I can name a few, but I will not. Because that is not something that concerns you in that spot. Maybe later that will be true not. But an easier way to know what affects you. Have you taken the knowledge to know upon what it is that has or will and is affecting you? No matter if it is the life you live or things you see. Well, it is. You're in the life you live. Is there truth to be had within that? To know how you can take advantage of that situation because of the fact that you already know of the situation. How is it that you can see opportunities if you cannot see what it is that is taking your opportunities? But how else can you see if it is that you're not looking for what it is you happen to see? It's right in front of you, but the opportunity, because you're not within the right mindset, you cannot see something positive if you are in a negative mindset. State of mind must be changed, must be renewed to see something that certain ones do not wish for you to view. No matter what it is they try to have you pay attention to. Does it actually, if you have a mindset specific and congruent with everything else, for only that can you see, for it is congruent. An easier way to get the results you wish. You must be able to see when it shows. You must know what it is to pay attention to, what to not. What can possibly interrupt that? Or certain things you may have to do or learn in that spot. An easier way to have the path you wish. But first, you must notice this. It is if you do not, or are resistant, then how much farther can you get if it is you choose to be resistant? when it is that you do not have the proper mindset to do so, how could you be capable to do so? If it is that your mindset is. You declare it for what it is, but also for what it is that you wish to be, not what another wishes to be. Then follow up with the actions that prove that you will follow up. Will not allow one to do something that, technically speaking, they are not able and capable to do that something against what it is that you have inspired to do. To know what it is that sets a roadblock in front of you, but then to smash through it because you are and have the ability to smash through it. An obstacle cannot stand. For you know upon the fact to make it, and are able to overtake it. With the resilience beyond what it is that is their resilience. It is that you do not allow one to stand in the way of your dreams. Then how is it that they can or have the right to deny you of your dreams? Regardless of how or why they might think that, prove upon the fact they cannot and will not be able to do that. That is why it would be in very, very important matter to know what it is for all before what it is that has already been mentioned in the start of this. And the easiest path leads to the hardest decisions. Regardless, if it is that you are willing to make the decisions. Because if it is that you choose not, the place that you work, your 9 to 5, they will choose it because you do not. If it is that you do work such things as this, do you wish to have more prosperity than this? That is where the hard decision is. But it leads to an easier path. If it is that you choose to do this. No matter the field or the profession, the craft that is within the field and the profession, no matter upon what it is that stands in your way, must be resilient, ruthless, upon this day. But there is an easier way. But the decisions are the hardest. For there are actions that are required. That is why it is the hardest. But being resistant to do such things as this, what do you get? The 9 to 5, unhappy to go to work? To be resistant against what it is that you know you need to do for the struggles that you are against. To be where it is that you wish. What kind of result do you get when you do this? When you choose to be resistant against that? Is there any happiness when it is you choose to do that? Or is there not? Do you hit the easy button upon this spot? And you wonder why successful you are not? Or you choose to be average? That is why you are 98%, and 2% you are not. Easier ways to do it. Hit the easy button. Why would you? For this you do it. What is it that you will regret for doing that? Regardless, one point or another, you will regret that. What it is. That you realize for what opportunity you missed. An easier way to get to where it is your dreams and aspirations lead. Only through the hardest decisions and choosing to act can this path lead. It is you choose not to. The path that you will be on will be hard because you choose not to. More unhappiness, more disappointment as it is that it grows. Or the opportunities that you chose not to do, for you are the only one that knows. As it is, that disappointment happens to grow. An easier path, and you already know. An easier path. I will explain why I say that. It is from what it is you get from that. At the end, when it is you are where you wish to be, which is toward the end, or when it is that it starts to happen, it becomes easier as you choose to do it, for you believe that it will happen. It is hard at first, because habits must be created first. Or at first you might think that it's hard, but once you get that discipline and determination, that concentration that is practiced by demonstration, no longer is it hard, it becomes easy, for you know you need to do it, for at that point it becomes easy. An easier way to do it, regardless if it is that you wish to do it. Do it when it is that you do not feel like it. If it is something you're passionate about, something that gives you drive, when it is you feel like you had no drive, as soon as you start to do it, there'll be an overwhelming joy as it is you start to do it. But counters upon what it is that you felt at first, and then at the last. At that point, be like, oh, I'm glad that I didn't listen to my thoughts that were first. Is your source strong enough to withstand when it is boldly, as an inclusive warrior you must stand, fighting for what it is that you wish to stand? Do you have the confidence when it is that others would back down? For you are one that will never back down. Would you notice upon times when it is required for you to? There's an easier way, if you pay attention. But if only once you were to listen to ones that try to help you, maybe at that point you might be able to listen. But if only once, you would learn that if it is success you wish to earn, the hardest path leads to the easiest. If you have a passion, if it is as a lover to you, even when it is that you do not wish to do what you do anyway, you will be thankful and happy you did so in that day. For that progress you made upon that day was more because of a crucial moment. course, you got to take advantage of these moments. When it is that you feel as if you do not wish to do it. These are points when the table is turned when it is you choose to do it. When it is that one has maybe set against, but you have the resilience to stand against as far as the situation that happens to be for that mountain that you happen to see. Points that are the tipping point. What it is that you do with your actions is the part that makes it to where the tables turn for you. So what is the dream and aspiration that you might have? There's an easier way for you to last. That passion, for starters. The reason why. Do not feel right when it is you do not do that. In fact, you crave to do that. Such a way that you get excitement. When you do something that you are passionate about, is there excitement? Do you know yourself to know where it is you could tell? It is. You do not feel that way. Maybe you need to do something upon that day. Maybe you need to be as the rosebud. Or maybe you need to be the one that might have to water it, so it can start to blossom. As it is that flower, only with nurturement can it blossom. What might you be holding back from someone else for this aspiration you're choosing not to do that? What kind of favor do you do yourself? What kind of favor do you do for everyone else? What kind of regret might you live with later? It's just better to act now, instead of regretting it later. An easier way, but a harder path to get there. At first, that is. Until you find the passion that makes it easy while it is you're getting there. If it is you do not like what it is you do, how much more passion do you have to do? Now, if it is that you do like, how much more would you enjoy doing that in your day-to-day life? Have you asked questions? Tried to find the answers to those questions? Have you not? Do you wonder why maybe you're not successful in this spot? Maybe you do not take failed attempts to learn what you need to find out how to do what it is you need to for the next, because of that failed attempt. To never know upon where it is you might be going. How can you steer a ship if you do not know where you're going? Do you use your proper orientating instruments to do such things? For your decisions upon these kinds of things? Have you already decided before it is your allotted amount of time, or the point when it is it needs to be decided? An easier way to how it is you could have success upon this day. To be aware of the first part. Figure out the questions that you may not have asked in the first part. And then orient what it is you need to do what it is that you need to know what it is that can and cannot affect you, to know what it is that is a passion by you. Like me, specifically, I have two. This, what it is you are listening and watching. And music. Those are the two that are for me. Of course, eventually, both together, you will see. Not in each one. Only in specific ones. For even before I started to do this, I had a plan to do this. I'd be influenced by what it is the character was doing, and what it is that right now I am doing. Could not do it in a live situation, though. Of course. Kind of hard to do such things as that. But it is. The music is influenced for what it is that happens current. Cannot do both. I always had the idea to do that. You know, you might watch people's videos and the music lines up, but what happens if it is to where it exactly lines up? To the actions that you see from the character. And the words Being spoken as it is, I am playing my character. As it is that I am distracting myself long enough to where I'm not thinking of what it is that I will say, coming from within what it is that I happen to say, without a filter upon what it is I will say, along with other influences, which I know that I'm not the only one that has these influences. Amongst what it is that I do, I cannot say that it is fully me, as it is you listen to what it is I do. But an easier way for you to learn within your passion or the field that you wish to learn. Are you picking it from what it is that you can earn? Or are you doing it as far as your picking goes? From what it is that you like and you know? An easier way to be happy when it is you do as what it is you do. Why would it be that you do something that is not enjoyed by you? Willingly as well. You ever think of that for a few seconds as it is you dwell? Do you enjoy doing something that you do not like? Then for your aspiration, why is it that you do not fight? Is it that you think you are not capable? The mere thought proves that you are capable. You just must make it be seen on the outside. The hardest choice, but it leads to the easiest path. But of course, you are the only one that can choose this path. Well, that looks like all the time I have for now. So, until next time.